Hey friends, this is Karen from Blue Rooster Farm, and today we are starting off in the kitchen and we are getting ready to make some chicken ranch lasagna. So if you're looking for a really good meal for Valentine's Day, this might be the one. Then we're going to go into the sewing room and I'm going to give you an update on our new quilt that we're getting ready to make. And it is that heart quilt that I gave you a sneak peek of during one of our Sew Sampler box reveals. And it is a beautiful quilt and I've got all of the patterns and everything set to make. And so I'm going to take you into the sewing room and show you the fabrics that I chose, show you what the quilt is going to look like, and a couple of options if you're wanting to make it. And then there may be a freebie in there too. So stick around. Thanks so much for sticking around. Well, we're here in the kitchen where we're starting off today, and we are going to start off at the stove because we first need to make our Alfredo sauce. Now, if you want to make this super easy and you would prefer to use canned Alfredo sauce, by all means, go right ahead and do that. But this is the homemade version, and I will tell you, it is really, really good. Now, this lasagna that I said was bacon chicken ranch lasagna. It is also known by some as creamy chicken crack lasagna. And then I've also heard it called Marry Me lasagna. So this may be a really good Valentine meal for Valentine's Day. It would be great for a guy to make his girlfriend or a girl to make her boyfriend. So I hope that you enjoy this recipe, and believe me, it is delicious. So I'm gonna first turn you around and we're gonna start off at the stove. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we've got 4 tablespoons of butter in our skillet here, and you can use a stock pot or, a pot too. I thought this would be easier to see, and it's kind of a high-edged skillet. And we're just going to melt this butter. Now, this lasagna is a lasagna that I tried a couple of years ago, and we really loved it. And so we've had it a couple times since, and I kind of make it for special occasions. And I thought, well, with Valentine's coming up, we'll just go ahead and make this because it is a great dish to serve for Valentine's Day. It is really good. Serve it with broccoli or a nice salad and maybe even a cheesecake for dessert, and you'll have a really special meal. And I don't know about you, but my husband and I, we usually don't go out on Valentine's Day just because it's so crowded, and finding a spot to eat without waiting for a long time can be very difficult. So we are usually just staying at home and enjoying our food at home. And then we'll go out to eat on another night, something just because it says it's the 14th of February doesn't mean we can only celebrate that day. We can celebrate any days. My husband normally brings me home a dozen roses on Valentine's Day, and you know that I'm pretty frugal, so I have told him he doesn't need to do that, and that I would be just as happy if he brought me flowers any day, because we all know that Valentine's Day, the price of them is a lot higher, and sometimes they're rushed to get them put together and maybe not quite as nice as a bouquet because they had to rush so much. But I really appreciate the thought that he has when he gives me those, and they look so pretty in the house on these dreary winter days. So I'm not complaining, but I do like to repay him in a nice meal, and so I try to make a nice meal on either February 14th or on a day right there nearby where we can both enjoy it. So this butter is now melted, and we need to add 4 cloves of garlic that is minced, and I've already done that. I've put it through our garlic press, and you can add more or less depending on your taste. Some people really like garlic and some people don't, so whichever end you are on, you can add more or you can add less. And we want to get that sizzling up a little bit, but we don't want to burn it because that will cause it to get bitter. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add 4 tablespoons of flour, and this is just like making gravy or a roux. And we're just going to mix that in and get that nice and cooked. We don't have to get it browned or anything like that, but we do want to get that flour cooked so we don't have the raw flour taste. About a minute is all we need. Boy, it smells really, really good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add 2 cups of a chicken broth. And again, you can add canned broth, your own broth, store-bought broth. You can add bouillon broth if you've just made it using bouillon cubes. And we are going to get that stirred in real quickly so we don't get lumps. And we are also going to stir in 1.5 cups of whole milk, or even richer. And you can add half and half, or do what I've done, and I have taken and added whole milk with some cream. We have some cream that we need to use up, so I just added those together. And I've actually got 2 cups in here, so I'm going to hold off on half of a cup. And if I need to add some more, sometimes it gets thicker than I need, or sometimes it's too thin and I need to add more flour. And now what we're going to do is we are just going to let this get nice and hot. I'm going to pop the heat up just a little, but we don't want to scorch it. And you can see I have some of those pieces of garlic floating around that look a little bit unusual in there, but that's not anything yucky. Those are just the garlic pieces. And we might also have a little bit of parsley that was on my spoon. All right, so we're just going to let that get bubbly. All right, so it is starting to get thickened up. And what we're going to start off by doing here is going ahead and adding 4 ounces of cubed up cream cheese that is a little bit warm, not warm, but at room temperature, so it will melt a little quicker. I'm going to turn this down just a little. We don't need to overcook, and get that moving in. And then what we're going to do is we are going to add a package of ranch seasoning mix. And I don't buy it, I make my own. And so I'm just going to start with a tablespoon of mine, and I think it's about 2 tablespoons that's equivalent, but mine does not have the buttermilk powder because I like to store mine longer, and the buttermilk powder will not store as long. And so I'm going to start with a tablespoon, and then I can add more to taste. And so it looks like that cream cheese is starting to melt, and then our mix, our seasoning mix is mixing in there, and it smells really, really good. Really good. The garlic. And I've been frying the bacon too, so the kitchen smells like bacon. My husband walked in a while ago and said, "Wow, something smells good in here." And at that point, it was just the bacon. You know, I've seen bacon candles for people who really like the smell of bacon, so I think that's pretty funny. Now what we're going to do is we're going to keep stirring this until it gets nice and thick, and it's just about to the thickness that we want. Now I am using, and I recommend using, the oven ready noodles, because they are real simple. You don't have to boil them. You just use them or place them into your lasagna dry, and they will cook while your lasagna is cooking. So this sauce is going to be just a little bit loose, not as thick as an Alfredo sauce from a jar. And if you do use a jarred Alfredo sauce, I would thin it out just a little bit if you're using the noodles that you don't have to pre-cook. Okay, so let's just get this all cooled off here. Now, if you want, you can add some hot pepper flakes and just give it a little bit of a kick, and I think I'm going to do that, so let me grab those. And I'm not going to add too many, just a little bit, just to give it just a slight. So look right there, just to give it just a slight, maybe a little bit more than that. You'll just notice it real subtly. It won't be like I need a drink of water or anything like that. It'll just be a subtle heat that you really won't notice, but it will make it taste richer. All right, so this is looking really good. I think my cream cheese is all dissolved in there. Now, if it weren't thick enough, or if it was too thick, you just add some more cream or milk. If it's not thick enough, what you can do is, for instance, if you're using the pre-cooked lasagna, you can take and mix a little flour and milk or water or broth and just make a slurry that's about the thickness of a loose pancake dough or pancake batter. And then just with a whisk, just drizzle it in and just whisk it quickly so you don't get lumps. And then just let it thicken up, and then add more if you need more. That is just the way I make my gravies and my cream sauces. But because we're gonna have noodles that are not cooked, we are okay with it being a little loose. Okay, so now what we're gonna add is 1 cup of shredded Parmesan cheese. Now, if you don't have the shredded Parmesan cheese and you just have the stuff that is in the can or in the little container, go ahead and use that. That'll be fine. That will be absolutely fine. Use what you have. And we're just gonna let this melt right into it. All right, now if you want at this point, you can add some pepper. I have quite a bit of pepper in my seasoning mix that I have, but if you want some extra, go ahead and add some. I'm going to give it a little taste. Okay, because my butter was salted, my chicken broth was salted, and I do have salt in my ranch mix, and of course the Parmesan cheese. I don't need to add any more salt. It tastes perfect. But if you need to add salt, you can add some salt. I'm going to add just a tiny bit more of my seasoning mix, but really I don't need much. Let me just grab a little here. And that's probably a teaspoon. That sauce is good. And I don't taste the heat. It's just, you just have an extra layer in there of flavor. Let's taste that now. Let me rinse my spoon off. That is so, so good. Okay, so the heat's going off, and I'm gonna let this rest while we finish up putting our other stuff together. So come on back to the island with me. All right, so I have our sauce right here, but we have a few things to prepare before we start putting the sauce with our ingredients into our lasagna pan. So what I have here are 8 thick slice pieces of bacon that I just finished cooking. And I am just going to rough chop these. And you know, if you don't want any bacon in your lasagna, you don't have to put it in there, but I tell you what, it is really, really good in it. And it's not gonna be bacon ranch chicken lasagna. It will be chicken ranch lasagna. This is really good. I like the way this cooked up too. And again, these were thick slices, so there's 8 thick slices. If you're not using thick slices, you'll need to use more of the thin slices. And I would say about at least a cup. Let's see what this measures. Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be a cup. So about a cup of chopped bacon. And you can of course buy fully cooked chopped bacon bits and use those, and that will be fine. The other thing that I am putting in ours, and you don't have to add this, is spinach. We really like spinach in chicken and cream sauces and stuff. And this is just spinach that I have frozen from our garden last year, and I just blanched it, put it in really cold water to stop it from cooking, and then just rolled it into tight balls that all the water would come out. And then I flash froze them on cookie sheets, and then I put them in a big gallon Ziploc bag, and I just pull out what I need. And I would say about a package of frozen spinach, but I've got 5 of these little balls. We'll see if I want to use all of them or not. And even though when I made these, I squeezed out all the liquid, there's still plenty of liquid in there, so I might have to kind of squeeze them out again so I don't have too much liquid in my lasagna. Now these were full leaves when I froze them, so I do have to give them a rough chop. Otherwise we'd have big whole leaves that would be a little bit tricky to get in our mouths. So I'm just rough chopping these a little bit. And in order to get this a little drier, I can just put it on some paper towels and just kind of squeeze the water out of it. And so I'm gonna put it right here in this bowl and grab some paper towels. I will just put them right here, and I will just kind of give it, and you can see the water coming out. In fact, I can just put the water in the bowl. You can see all the water coming out. And if you're doing frozen spinach, you'll probably need to do the same thing if you're using the store-bought. And that's just getting that extra moisture out of there. You don't have to get it all out, but just any of that extra stuff. And then I'll open this back up. And now we have a little drier spinach. Okay, so we got that ready. Now it's time to start layering our lasagna. So we're gonna start with, and my oven is set for 375 degrees. So we're gonna start with a little bit of our Alfredo sauce. And this isn't just any ordinary Alfredo sauce. It has the ranch seasoning in it. So if you are using store-bought Alfredo sauce, be sure you put your ranch seasoning. Be sure you add some garlic to it, those things that give it the flavor. I would even be adding some more Parmesan cheese to it. You don't have to actually cook it. You can just mix it together and it will melt and come together in the oven. But if you're using that shortcut, that's what I would do. So we've got just a thin layer there, and we're gonna take our oven ready lasagna. And I just use the Walmart brand, great value. And we're gonna take, I believe 3 of these will fit. 1, 2, and 3. There we go. We'll just lay those right there. And then we're gonna start with our next layer. Our next layer, before we add it, we need to mix it together. We are gonna take our ricotta cheese, and we need 1 container of ricotta cheese. And I do recommend the whole milk ricotta cheese. I accidentally purchased the skim. It's fine, but it's just not going to be as rich. It's probably better for us, but the whole milk ricotta is really good. So we just get that plastic off the top. This is 15 ounces. We're gonna stick that in there. We are gonna add to that 1 egg. And we are going to whisk that together. I'm also going to add to this 2 tablespoons of either fresh or frozen parsley. If you don't have either, dry parsley is fine. But if you have the fresh, use that. I get this out of our garden. I freeze it. I just rinse it off, let it dry, put it in, chop it up, or just put it whole, usually in a gallon size bag, and just collect it during the year. And then during the winter, I always have fresh parsley to add to my recipes. I've also got a pot still of parsley that I put in our unheated mudroom, and with our temperatures getting really, really low, I thought maybe I would lose it, but it's still growing. I keep forgetting to water it, so it's not doing too well because of me, but otherwise I think it would do great year-round in our unheated mudroom. Okay, so I've got the egg and the ricotta, and we can add some salt to this too, but if you want to add salt to this, I would add about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to add a little more Parmesan cheese. We know that that has salt, plus it will make this ricotta taste really good. And I probably had 1/2 cup in there. Yeah, I'd say 1/2 cup. And that way I won't add any extra salt because that cheese is salty. All right, I think that's all I need to have in there. Yep. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we've got our 2 things of noodles, and I think you can see that. Yep. Move that out of the way. We are going to put in there 1/3 of our ricotta mixture and just layer it on those noodles. If you're using pre-cooked noodles, just make sure they're well drained. You don't want to add extra moisture to it. Okay, then we're going to do a layer of chicken, and here I have my chicken, and I have about 3 cups of chicken. And actually I'm using turkey. We had leftover turkey for the holidays at Christmas, and so I just froze whatever was left over, and so I just took it out, shredded it, and it's ready to go into this casserole. So we're going to take about 1/3 of this chicken, which is about 1 cup, or turkey. I'm going to call it chicken. I tell you, this is all smelling so, so good. Okay, about 1 cup's worth there. And then we're going to take 1/3 of our bacon. And that would be about 1/3 of a cup. And we're going to take spinach, about 1/3 of our spinach. And I'm just going to kind of flake it on there. Now I also make a bacon ranch pizza that is really, really good. And I'm gonna have to make that sometime for you too, if I can remember to do that. But that's a really favorite one of ours as well. It takes a little more time than our regular pizza that I make because of making the sauce. But if you bought the Alfredo sauce, it wouldn't take any more time. And then we're ready for about 3/4 cup of our sauce. I'm just drizzling it on each noodle. And then we're going to add some of our cheese. And what we're using is some, it says either sharp cheddar, but I'm using just medium cheddar, and then some mozzarella cheese. And they call for 2 cups of mozzarella and 1 cup of the cheddar. But you can use all mozzarella if you'd like, or whatever cheeses you have. The mozzarella is, of course, the stretchy cheese that will be really good in there. But if you're out of it, you can substitute. So we're going to do about 1/3 of our yellow cheese. And then about 1/3 of our mozzarella. And again, I'm just eyeballing it. I'm taking a nice big handful. Okay. And now we're ready to start those layers again. So again, 3 noodles. And if you can ever get 4 on there, go for it. Sometimes as you go, it will get a little wider and you can add another one. I think I'm still okay. Sometimes I can actually get 1 down here. There we go. You see that? And ricotta, 1/3 of our ricotta. Whoops, and I just threw some of that down. Try to get it evenly distributed so everybody gets some. Okay. Then we're gonna do, next layer was chicken. Yeah, chicken. So about 1 cup of chicken. Should have used my nice and deep lasagna pan. I didn't think to grab it. I usually fill my lasagna pans to the top. And this is a 13 by 9 inch casserole dish. Our bacon, 1/3 of our bacon. Andy thought it smelled good earlier. I think he's gonna think it smells like heaven now. All of these good scents coming out. A little bit of spinach. And then our sauce. Usually when I cook, I'm a little more reserved with my middle layers and my lower layers. And that way, if I have extra, it will all run down into those crevices and it will, when I put it on the top, and it will get everything filled in. And then our cheese. So a little bit of our yellow cheese. And a little bit bit of our Parmesan. Okay, then we are ready to start again. We've got one more layer. After that, I am going to do our sauce, and then I am not going to do the last layer of cheese because that is something that I don't like to get hard. We are going to cover this pan with aluminum foil, but the cheese tends to stick to the top of that aluminum foil. So I'm gonna wait and add the cheese when we open up that aluminum foil to finish it off. So let me just go ahead and pour all of this sauce now on it. And you wanna come and hold this for me? Or not. You don't have to. Just hold it up right there. And Andy's just gonna hold this up for me. Just dump it right there.
Yeah, boy, that smells good.
This is my new Le Creuset, or however you say it, pan that Andy gave me for Christmas. I really like it. You got bonus points for that. All right, that works. You just set it right there. Thank you, hun. And we just have that all there on the top, and that looks great. Plenty of sauce. And it will seep down into those crevices. And we are ready to put some aluminum foil over this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna seal this up with aluminum foil, and we are gonna cook it for about 25 minutes. Now mine will probably go longer just because of my oven temperature. And then we're gonna take the aluminum foil off. We're going to add our cheese to it and then bake for another 25 minutes. So I will bring you back when it's all done and out of our oven. Oh, and there it is. Doesn't that look delicious? I ended up, because our noodles were not cooked, I kept it in the foil for about 45 minutes, and then I took the foil off, added the cheese, and I just sprinkled a little bit more crumbles of bacon because we had some, and then I cooked it for about 15 more minutes. So mine was in for about an hour. Now it may have been fine 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, but I wanted to make sure in the middle where the noodles were not cooked yet, had a chance to absorb some of that liquid in there. And so I think this is good. So it really almost took an hour. I felt like if I took the aluminum foil off after 25 minutes, it wouldn't get as well cooked. The noodles would not soften up enough, and the top would brown up too much. So I kept it in there to make sure those noodles were cooked well. My oven does run a little low, so I usually cook longer than what recipes call for. So just watch it and decide. When I took the foil off, I did take a fork and I stuck it in there to see if the noodles were soft, and they were. So that's something that you can determine whether it's time to take the foil off or not. So I'm gonna let this set for just about 10 minutes because it's piping hot right now, and we're just gonna let things settle down, and that way when we slice it up, it's not gonna all fall apart. Now, while I was letting this bake, I was making some of our side dish, our salads. And if you watched my canning videos this summer, I had made some pickled red onions and they have been absolutely delicious on sandwiches and salads. And then I also made some pickled peppers, and they are in here too, and they are delicious. So our salads are going to go perfect with this. You could serve bread, any kind of Italian bread, French bread, and that would also be delicious. But we decided that we've got enough carbs in the lasagna that we're good. And so I'm just gonna let this cool, and then we'll do a taste test. Okay, it has cooled for about 10 to 15 minutes. It's still hot, but it's settled, and I think it's ready to cut. Let's give it a try. I'm not sure which end to try. Let's go right over here, and we're just gonna cut through it. Oh, it smells so, so good in this house right now. Okay, let's see if we can get this piece out without everything falling apart. So I'm going to turn it this way. Make sure we've got it. All that chicken in there cut. There we go. And let's lift it up. Oh my goodness. Does that not look delicious? Look at that. Okay, I'm gonna bring you up and we're gonna taste this. Okay, there is what it looks like. Doesn't that look good? We're gonna give it a try. You can see it's still really hot. It's still steaming. I'm just gonna get a little piece here so I don't burn my mouth. Get a little spinach in it, a little bacon, a little cheese, and of course some of that chicken. Of course, this is turkey though. All right, let's give it a try. You're gonna love this. I think this is really, really good. And boy, I think when they called it Marry Me Lasagna, I think you make this for a guy that's on the fence, he's gonna marry you. That is good. Just a really rich, cheesy, garlicky, bacony. So good. If you like creamy things, you're gonna love this. I hope you get a chance to make this recipe. It is really good. Also, if you are somebody who likes to quilt or sew, or you just like to look at somebody else's quilts, stick around because I'm going to be going into the sewing room next, and we are going to be talking about our next project, and I don't think you want to miss it. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you back here soon. Oh, and this recipe, the recipe for this will be at the end of the video where you can take screenshots, or in a couple of days it will be on my Facebook page at Blue Rooster Farm. So you can pick it up there, print it off, or just take screenshots. I'll try to get real good close-ups of it so you can get screenshots. But it's a great recipe. Hope to see you back here soon. Bye-bye. Hey guys, this is Karen from Blue Rooster Farm, and I'm bringing you over to my cutting table today to see what I have been up to these past couple of days. And so like I shared with you during one of our Sew Sampler box openings, I had designed a quilt last February, but it was just too late for me to share it with anybody, and it really was too late for me to get started working on it. So I thought I would just hold on to it until this year, and then I would really like to make this quilt because I think it's really pretty. But I showed you a block, and I believe it's this block, and this was kind of my practice block, and it's not quite the same as the one I'm ending up with. There's some things in the corners that we're going to be adding, but this is one of the blocks in the quilt. There are 2 heart blocks, and then there is a sashing that at first I just had kind of a 9-patch, so it made a chain, and then I've kind of been looking at it, so really I'm going to give you some options for that sashing. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and show you a picture of the quilt right here. So this was the original design right here, and it has a sashing. It's a 4-inch sashing, and it has the 9 patch in it, and you can see that in between all the corners of those heart blocks. Now you see the block that I just shared with you, and there's another block, and that block is a simpler block because I really didn't want to piece all the houses, even though they're not very hard to do. I wanted to kind of break that up and not make it so busy. So I just left a heart with the interior open. And here is what that looks like a little closer up. So this is the second block. So this quilt is just 2 main large blocks, and then we have a sashing with a cornerstone, and in this one it's a 9 patch. Now I was kind of playing around with it then a couple weeks ago, and I thought, well, this would be cute. Just put a heart, a 4-inch heart in all of those sashings like this one. And then you'd have that heart theme throughout. And I thought that was really cute too. And so I wasn't sure which direction I was gonna go to make my quilt because I thought both of them were really cute. And then I thought, well, what about a pinwheel? And so as you see in this quilt here, this design, this one has the pinwheel, and I really like that movement of that pinwheel in the middle. So the sashing in this is a 4-inch pinwheel, and I think it turned out really cute. But I'm going to share all 3 pictures in a download with the patterns, and I will be I can make those blocks in some videos, just little add-ons. They're really easy blocks to make, and that way you can decide which block you want to put for your cornerstone if you choose to make this quilt. So I am really excited about this. This quilt is a very large quilt. It is measuring, and without a border because of the sashing, it is measuring 70 inches by 92 inches. It has, the blocks are 18 inches finished, so they are really nice size. They go together quickly. This quilt I'm hoping will go together quickly. The blocks that I've worked on have really gone together quickly. So I'm hoping that this will work out really well and we can get this done quickly. Now, it also, you can add a border and you can make it the size of a king size bed quilt if you want, but I'm not going to make mine that big. And I was trying to see if there was a way to make one smaller, and of course you can just do 4 blocks and then put some borders around it, and then you're going to get up into, let's see, 18 and 18 is 36, and then 12 is, so you could make 4 blocks and have a nice size, you know, like a lap quilt, and then just put a border around it too to make it even bigger. But I think this is going to be really cute. You could make a strip of them just to make a runner. Just put 3 together and you're going to have a really nice size runner, or a bed runner too. I really liked my snowman bed runner that I just finished, and I'm really enjoying the way that looks. But even if you wanted to have a heart bed runner, this would be the perfect size as well. Just do 3 of these blocks and add a little border on the ends and maybe something at the top, and that would look really cute too. So I thought you might enjoy seeing that. I have all of my pieces for my first block cut, and I am going to be sharing with you how to make that in an upcoming video. I also have all of my fabric picked out, and you know that I shared with you the fabric that I had purchased last year. Was it Ridgewood by Minnick and Simpson? And I was telling you that I was probably going to use that fabric with other Minnick and Simpson reds and pinks that I have. I think this is Ridgewood. Yes, Ridgewood. And so I was looking through my Minnick and Simpson, and I also started looking at my laundry basket fabric. And that laundry basket fabric goes really well with it too. So instead of adding and supplementing with other Minnick & Simpson, I have supplemented with some laundry basket fabric, and I think it's going to look really pretty, and I'll bring you down and show you all the fabrics that I've selected. So here I've got you at my cutting table, and I've got my fabric here to show you. First of all, this is the background fabric that I'm using. It is kind of a white cream. It's not real creamy, but it's not pure white either, but it has kind of a taupe rose in it. That's really pretty. So that is my background fabric. And then, like I said, I started with Ridgewood, and I had purchased a lot of Ridgewood fabric that I got on sale at a really, really good price. And then what I didn't have, I supplemented. And originally I was going to supplement with Minnick & Simpson, but because I had some really pretty laundry basket fabrics, I went with those because I think they look really good with it too. So these first three right here are the Ridgewood, and these are their pinks. And you see this one has the rose with the circle around it. This one is just a scattered rose. And this one's really cute. It has the little flowers that are roses. And if you notice, the red in this is a little different than the red in these. It's more of a salmony red, just a little bit more salmony colored. And then here is a laundry basket that had the pink in the background, and then it had those same reds and the salmony color in the flowers, plus this taupe color that you've seen over here in our background. Here's a laundry basket fabric, and it has the pink, and it has the different shades of red and burgundy, and then kind of the same color as the background here. And you can see the different size prints that I'm using, so don't be afraid to use, different sizes like this. It's okay. I have a more salmony colored piece, and this is laundry basket, and it goes perfectly with that one. So I thought, yes, this one works too. And it just has little circles on it. And then this one was a Ridgewood here, and it's got that salmony color. It's a little darker, and it has the taupey color and the creamy white color in it. Here is a laundry basket with the background cream color, a deep red, and then the pinks. Here is a Ridgewood, and again, it's the same as this one, only in a different colorway, a mottled red, and then of course you have your taupey colored roses, just like this. Really pretty red. Here is a laundry basket fabric here, and this one I thought had all the different colors in it. It has the deep red, it has the taupey color, it has the salmony colored red, it has the pink, it has some white like our background, and it also has a little brighter red in there too. So this one just really went along with all of them. And that was laundry basket. This is a laundry basket one as well, and again, doesn't that match up so nicely? Here's that salmony colored red. You've got your taupe, you've got your dark red, and then you've got your flowers that are about the color of the background. And then this is a nice dark, almost burgundy, not quite. And it's kind of got these little circles that variegate colors between pink, red, and a salmony color. And I think that looks really pretty. So when you put them all together, I think they look really, really nice. And I think they will look really nice in this pattern. Now I do want to tell you that this quilt is fat quarter friendly if you're really good at cutting and you don't make too many mistakes. If you were a perfect cutter, you could get by with 12 fat quarters and probably a little bit of additional yardage for those cornerstones, whether it be the heart, the 9-patch or the pinwheel, but that would be the basic number of fat quarters that you would need. And I do have a cutting guide in the pattern to cut your fat quarters so that you get the use of all your fabric and you can get all the pieces cut out for each block. But if I were you, I would have a couple of extra fat quarters so that if you mess up on one, you can grab another one. Also, this is perfect for yardage that you have in your stash. If you have anything that you like that is in the reds and the pinks and whatever colorway you're going with, this would be really pretty in that too. And I also wanted to say, you know, you could easily turn this into more of a patriotic quilt by changing the chain in this to a blue chain and then having your houses and your hearts red and pink. That would be really cute too. So you can have fun with it and design it the way you like. But as always, my patterns are for cutting instructions, and then my tutorials will walk you right through how to put the block together, because I am not a quilt pattern writer. I am just making this for myself and sharing it with you. And so I have put together all of the cutting directions or the cutting sizes in a nice PDF that you're going to be able to find with those videos in the description box. Now for today, I do want to give you a freebie. Oh, and before I talk about that, for your yardage, now I use EQ8 to kind of do my designs on my quilts, and they give you an estimated amount of yardage, but they also piece their quilt differently than I do. They might cut it differently and piece it differently. So they said a little bit over, I think it was like 4 1/3 yards, let me see, 4 3/8 background fabric. And I would purchase 5 yards just to have it, and you can always use it for something else. But that should be plenty. Again, if you wanted just to make this with a lot of low volume fabrics for the background, it would be really pretty that way too. So you could just get a whole bunch of different low volumes and just mix and match and cut any way you'd like. But I think it's going to be really cute, and I'm looking forward to making it. And I hope some of you are going to be making it too, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, I do want to share a freebie with you today, and in the description box below, I have some alphabetties that are ready for your cuts, and these are all fancy hearts. And if you like to do like me, I just put them on cardstock, and then I laminate them with just my little cheapy laminating machine that just takes full sheets of paper and runs through the laminator. And I can link some in the description box below, because I do have people asking me about laminators a lot of times. But I just laminate them and cut them, and then they're gonna last me for a long, long time. So just like this. So I hope that you enjoyed this little sneak peek and preview, and I hope you are looking forward to this quilt like I am. So thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you back here soon. Bye-bye.